This cross-section highlights the islets of Langerhans, which
Two
produce
men,
crucial
both
hormones like
52,
insulin,
both skip
shown here
breakfast
in
every
red.
morning. One is leaner, sharper, and his doctor just told him his fasting glucose dropped 18 points in 3 months. The other is tired by noon, storing fat around his midsection, and his A1C is quietly creeping in the wrong direction. Same habit, completely different outcomes. The difference is what each man's body is actually doing during those 16 hours, and whether it's doing it right. Here's what most people get wrong about fasting. They think skipping meals is the mechanism. It isn't. The mechanism is what happens inside your cells when insulin finally gets out of the way. And for men over 40, that distinction is everything. A 2022 study in cell metabolism followed men doing 16.8 intermittent fasting for 12 weeks. Fasting glucose dropped by an average of 11 milligrams per deciliter. Insulin resistance improved by 29%. Those aren't rounding errors. That's your metabolic trajectory changing direction. This video isn't medical advice. I'm not your doctor. And if you're on medication that affects blood sugar, talk to someone who went to medical school before you change anything. But if you want to understand the actual science of what's happening inside your body during a 16-hour fast, hour by hour, this is the most useful 12 minutes you'll spend today. Stay with me through the third section, because what happens around hour 12 is the part nobody talks about. And once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Let me show you what's actually happening. In the first 4 hours after your last meal, your body is still running on the food you just ate. Glucose from that meal is circulating. Your pancreas is firing insulin like a panicked air traffic controller trying to land 200 planes at once, pushing glucose into muscle cells, liver cells, fat cells, wherever it fits. This is normal. This is supposed to happen. The problem is, most men over 50 never give that air traffic controller a break. Meal, snack, meal, snack. The insulin signal never quiets down. And when a signal never stops, your cells eventually stop listening. That's insulin resistance, not a disease that arrives one day. A dial you've been slowly turning the wrong direction, one unnecessary snack at a time. By hour 6, glucose is falling. Insulin is dropping with it. Your liver, which has been storing glucose as glycogen, think of glycogen as a short-term battery pack bolted under the hood, starts releasing that stored fuel to keep your brain powered. You're not starving, you're just switching energy sources. This transition is so well designed, it's almost insulting to call it fasting. Your body built this system specifically for this moment. Here's where it gets interesting. Around hour 8 to 10, glycogen stores are running low. A 2019 paper in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that liver glycogen is substantially depleted after 10 to 12 hours of fasting in most adults. When that battery pack empties, your body has to make a decision. It can break down protein, which it does not want to do because protein is expensive structural material, or it can unlock fat. And this is where the 16-hour window earns its reputation. Your body treats stored fat like a nuclear launch code. It only opens under specific conditions. Low insulin is condition 1. Depleted glycogen is condition 2. When both are met simultaneously, which happens reliably around hour 10 to 14 in most men, lipolysis accelerates. Fat cells begin releasing fatty acids into circulation. Your liver converts some of those fatty acids into ketones, not the dramatic ketoacidosis level your doctor worries about in diabetics. A gentle, sustained hum of ketone production that your brain, heart, and muscles quietly love. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about burning fat. The metabolic shift that happens when insulin drops has downstream effects on your blood sugar regulation that persist well beyond the fasting window itself. A 2020 randomized controlled trial in obesity found that men who fasted 16 hours daily for 8 weeks showed significantly improved insulin sensitivity, meaning their cells responded to insulin better even during the hours they were eating. You're not just borrowing against tomorrow, you're rebuilding the system. Think of insulin sensitivity like a lock and key. In a healthy system, insulin is a perfectly cut key that opens the cell door instantly. In an insulin-resistant man, the lock is warped. The key still fits, sort of, but your pancreas has to shove it harder, producing 2, 3, 4 times the insulin to get the same door open. Over years, that lock gets worse. The pancreas gets tired. Eventually, the door barely opens at all. Regular fasting, done consistently, gradually reshapes that lock. The key starts fitting again. Drop a comment right now. Where are you watching from? And what's the one thing about blood sugar and fasting you wish someone had explained to you sooner? Now, the part most men miss completely. It happens in the final stretch, around hours 12 through 16, and it's called autophagy upregulation. Autophagy is your cell's internal recycling system, the process by which damaged proteins and dysfunctional cellular components get broken down and reused. Think of it as the overnight cleaning crew that only shows up after everyone's left the building. A 2016 study, the one that won the Nobel Prize in Physiology, established that fasting is one of the most reliable triggers for autophagy in human cells. When insulin is chronically elevated, that cleaning crew never gets the call. Cellular debris accumulates. Mitochondria, your energy-generating machinery, degrade without replacement. Men over 40 who've spent a decade eating every 3 hours are walking around with uncleaned offices. No wonder the thinking feels foggy and the energy tanks by 2 p.m. A 2021 paper in Aging Research Reviews tied impaired autophagy directly to accelerated metabolic aging in men. The mechanism: when damaged, mitochondria aren't cleared. They produce more reactive oxygen species, which increases systemic inflammation, which, you guessed it, worsens insulin resistance further. It's a loop. Fasting interrupts the loop. Here's the practical picture. By hour 16 of a clean fast, water, black coffee, nothing that triggers insulin. Your fasting glucose is lower than it would be after 8 hours. Your insulin is low enough that fat oxidation is meaningful. Autophagy is running. And when you break that fast, your insulin sensitivity is measurably better than it was before you started. A 2018 trial in the New England Journal of Medicine found that alternate day fasting and time-restricted eating both reduced fasting insulin by 20 to 31% over 8 weeks in overweight men. That's not a supplement doing that. That's timing. None of this requires tracking macros, buying expensive equipment, or explaining anything awkward at a dinner party. It requires ending your eating window at a reasonable hour and not starting it until 16 hours have passed. Your grandfather probably did this accidentally and never knew there was a name for it. You get to do it on purpose. If you're starting out, finish eating by 8 p.m., break your fast at noon. Simple. If you want to go deeper, the next video covers exactly which foods break the fast without spiking insulin, and one of them is going to surprise you. It's linked right now. Pick a consistent eating window. Protect your fasting hours like they're appointments you can't miss, because for your metabolic health after 40, they are.